You too can make your 40s look like your 20s. Go to acradio.live to order your copy today. Hi, I'm Alicia Curry, and you know me from my radio show, Unleash Your Audacious Confidence with Alicia Curry. If you lack confidence and boldness to really go out there and conquer the world, I'm here to share this valuable resource. In my book, Your Signature Style, Unlocking the Confidence, Style, and Influence of the Savvy CEO, I'll take you through a process where you can release your fears and embrace your femininity as a powerful tool to unleash your audacious confidence and win. This is where it all began for me, and I want to share it with you. Get your copy today at acradio.live. Bring out your beauty and confidence from the inside out. Buy this book today at www.acradio.live.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Hi, I'm Alicia Curry, and I'm here to influence, educate, inspire, and entertain you with audacious confidence. Audacious confidence is the unshakable belief in yourself that's so bold and so daring that you live your life without limits or restrictions. So join me on my show, Unleash Your Audacious Confidence, so we can discover the unknown you. Call in to join the conversation at 888-565-1470. Let's get started. Hi, we are alive on the air. Happy Monday, everyone. This mic is like bouncing back on me. Happy Monday, happy Monday. And guess what? It's Thanksgiving week. Yay! Happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there that will be celebrating Thanksgiving. Welcome to the show. You know what I'm doing. I'm just inviting a bunch of people on Facebook to say hi and join us. I also wanted to let you know that, let me see, what is this? Okay. That we are having I am hosting a LinkedIn guerrilla marketing and branding makeover on December 5th. So if you go to acradio.live, you can register for that event. It is free to come and learn how to boost your leads and your sales on LinkedIn. You can come, again, acradio.live. You can go register for that event. It's December 5th from 6:30 to 9:30. And I hope you can join us because you're going to learn a lot from our guest, Wendy Stevens, who's hosting, who will be presenting during that meeting. So today I am so excited because I have an amazing guest for you all. His name is Ron Harvey. He is joining me via video. And Ron Harvey is the Vice President of Global Core Strategies and Consulting, LLC, and certified coach with ICF. He's a certified John Maxwell leadership team member, and he works with organizations and leadership teams to enable them to be intentional about establishing a winning culture and improving employee engagement that recruits and retains top talent. Clients experience higher retention rates, business growth, increased profitability, and distinguish themselves as the place to work. Ron and his team provide real results in real time, allowing clients the freedom to focus on their business operations, be creative and impactful. So welcome, Ron Harvey, to my show. And those of you who are joining us, I just want to say hi to those on Facebook, hi to those on Periscope, hi to those on YouTube. And if you are on Facebook watching us from Velocity, I want to say hi because Ron and I are members of Velocity, and we know some of you might be watching and listening to us now. So welcome, Ron.
Thank you, Alicia. It's a pleasure to join you this afternoon, and thanks for having me as a guest.
And I know you just flew in. You flew back in from Florida. You were here in Florida earlier today, and you're back home in North Carolina?
South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina.
Columbia, South Carolina. So thank you. Too bad you had to fly out today and you couldn't be here live in studio, but we got the next best thing. We got you on video. So that's great.
Thank you. Yes.
So I have first question I wanted to ask you. First of all, from your bio, was there anything that you wanted to address that I did not cover in your bio to those listening?
only thing I probably need to address is how do I bring you along, to be able to put that bio out like that so well. Thank you. That was wonderful.
You need me to tag along to be your herald. When you walk into the room, I'll read it out loud.
It's recorded so we can capture the voice. Great introduction. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So you coach leadership, and what led you into that field of actually coaching leadership?
Well, what really led me into it, coming out of the military for 21 years is where I got most of my leadership experience. And so what really led me into it is I started very young in leadership with the military. I found myself being deployed at a young age of 25, and people really depended on you to keep them alive, to make great choices,
right,
to help them flourish in their careers. So I started in leadership very young, within the military. And as I progressed and got promoted, it just became something that I wanted to do. And so my tagline for it is I always want to do something that makes a difference for others. That's really what got me into leadership.
Right.
And so how do you help people show up to be their best?
That's good. And, being from the military, obviously, confidence had to come very quickly. If you didn't already have it, once you're placed in that leadership role, you have to, gird up your loins really quick, right?
Yes. But people really depend on it. And the unique thing about that, Alicia, I think I grew up really, really fast in the leadership realm. And I think it happens to a lot of people where technically we're really good, and you get promoted to the next position, and you try to do what helped you get promoted,
right,
but that's not what's really needed.
Ah.
And you got to learn a new space.
That is very interesting, because actually I want to get to some of these questions that I had from an article I read today, because you just touched on that sometimes the thing that got you to one position is not what's going to take you to the next position, or you're promoted to the next position and it's not what's going to bring you success in that position. So that's very interesting. That's how you work with your clients.
Yeah, and so for when we work with clients, Alicia, one of the things that's really important, you hear this word leadership presence. But if you ask people to define it, it's very tough. And so when you start thinking of leadership presence, what technical skills is not really leadership presence. It's not a mission statement. It's how do you show up in a room?
Yes.
Every single time that you show up. So it's like, how do you own the space that you're in? And so when you start talking about going from technically sharp, which is great, you got to do that to get to the next level. But once you show up to the next level, there's something different that's needed. Ah.
That is very interesting, and I don't think a lot of people are aware of that, or they actually, not until they're in the position do they realize that that's what's happened. And it's like, now what do I do? Right? And you have to kind of learn quickly on the job training. So, in your opinion, what role does confidence play in leadership?
In my opinion, I think when it comes to confidence, I think something that's really, really, really tied to confidence is competence. Mm-hmm. And you find individuals that the more you develop your people that are dependent on you daily, that want to do a really, really great job, if you tap into their level of competence, then they show up more confident. And that's even when you're looking at little kids. And I spend a lot of time mentoring and working with the youth. And one of the things that we really work hard at is making sure they feel very competent. And so if you're a leader of an organization, be intentional about developing people's competence, and you'll be amazed how much more confident they show up. And so that part of it is super important. Now, the role that it plays is if I'm not confident as a leader, I'll do one or two things. I'll either pretend or fake it until I figure it out.
Right.
I'll shrink back and hope that I have a team that's really solid, and I won't be a leader. I'll tend to do the things, honestly, that I'm comfortable with doing because I'm not confident in that new position.
That is so true because, again, I was reading this article today on women in leadership, and they said one of the article was really about overcoming 10 obstacles to power up. And one of the obstacles, they said that hesitation about taking actions that will make other people unhappy in making those decisions. And so competence, like you're saying, they might rely more on the team instead of their own leadership skills, and they will hesitate to actually take action.
Wow, which is very very unique because when you show up at a new position, oftentimes in most organizations, there's a gap in our society of being intentional about succession management planning. So it's written in books, it's on charts, but when you really take the opportunity and ask most people that got promoted how much was invested in them to prepare them for the position versus they kind of got it by default.
Yeah.
Someone
that happens a lot.
Someone got sick. What's really invested in the individual that you see 2 years from now really taking the position? And so how much are you given that opportunity to grow while someone else is in charge? That
is so true. Yes, there's often leadership by default.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you look good for this position. You should have it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. So when one of the really interesting things is the difference between how men lead and how women lead. What is your opinion on the differences that you see between men in leadership positions and women in leadership positions?
Wow, and I think there are several answers to that question. My personal opinion, and what I say, I think women are really solid leaders. When they make decisions, they're pretty solid on it. They'll pull all the data. They'll make sure that it's very factual. And so really, really solid. And I think women haven't been given the opportunity because of corporate American society hasn't really recognized that one or two things, that women do bring a lot to the table or they're intimidated by women in leadership. Either or, I think that does show up. And so this is just Ron speaking, so it's not something that I say is Gallup-o. But reality is I think some people are haven't recognized how great women are in leadership roles, and that's not everybody, but you do see it across our society.
Right.
But when it comes to women in leadership roles, well, you will find out the difference between the men and the women when it comes to gender. When men know about 60% of something, they will step up and take the job.
Right.
Women oftentimes will find that other 40% reason not to. And so women will go in there and say, hey, you know what, I kind of know 6%, but I don't know if I'm really ready. Men will take a chance, Alicia.
And that's that hesitation I was talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah, hesitation. They got to know it all, and men will. And I think that's because society is a lot harder on them, so they want to make sure that
if they make a mistake, it's more, it's judged a lot harsher than with men. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I watched a TED Talk on coding for women. And what she was talking about is that it's Girl Code. She has a company called Girl Code. And she noticed that girls would not show their work. Like they'd rather show you a blank piece of paper than show you all the mistakes that they made in coding, where the boys would just show you all their stuff and be like, yeah. And they're proud of it. But women, the girls would always be hesitant because they would think they're doing it wrong, they're making a mistake, and they always want to be right or perfect before they actually show their work. And I guess it's the same that holds true for leadership too, that they don't want to mess up or make mistakes. So even though you're saying that you think women are solid leaders, because when they do make decisions and they take action, it's they can back it up and everything, but it's getting them to that state of actually making that decision.
Yes. The judgment is different. Michelle Obama said a statement about 3 weeks ago, and she spoke about the gender of men and women. And one of the things that I think there's some truth to a lot of truth to what she said is that in society we tend to love our guys and we tend to raise our girls. And so when I look at my sisters that were raised, my mother held them to a different standard of cleaning and cooking and learning and reading. My twin sister would be afraid to bring her report card in if we were bringing mine in at the same time. And so it was really, I watched it now as I look back at my life, it is a different way of how girls are raised and how boys are raised.
Right. That's interesting. So it starts even from childhood. We're going to take a quick break because I see the time there, and we're going to come back, and I have a couple more juicy questions to ask you, Ron, and I'm so glad you're here on the show. This is good, right, guys? We'll be right back after this break. Afraid of needles? Anxious about going under the knife? Do the words invasive surgery make you queasy to think about? After years of being mistaken for someone in her 20s, Alicia Curry, a mom of 3 in her late 40s, finally got tired of hearing, "You should write a book about why you look so young." So that's exactly what she did. In her book, Age Younger, 21 Tips to Make Your 40s Look Like Your 20s, she outlines 21 of her top tips for looking and feeling decades younger. These tips can easily be implemented into your own lifestyle so you too can make your 40s look like your 20s. Go to acradio.live to order your copy today. Hi, I'm Alicia Khoury, and you know me from my radio show, Unleash Your Audacious Confidence with Alicia Khoury. If you lack confidence and boldness to really go out there and conquer the world, I'm here to share this valuable resource. In my book, Your Signature Style, Unlocking the Confidence, Style, and Influence of the Savvy CEO, I'll take you through a process where you can release your fears and embrace your femininity as a powerful tool to unleash your audacious confidence and win. This is where it all began for me, and I want to share it with you. Get your copy today at acradio.live. Bring out your beauty and confidence from the inside out. Buy this book today at www.acradio.live. You're listening to Unleash Your Audacious Confidence with Alicia Khoury. Now, let's get back to the show. Hey, still inviting people to watch the show on Facebook. So, we are here with Ron Harvey. He is the Vice President of Global Core Strategies and Consulting, a certified coach with ICF, and certified John Maxwell Leadership team member. So he works specifically with corporations on helping create plans and strategies for boosting their leadership, not just boosting leadership, but training individuals to really step into leadership roles so that they can grow and be competent as leaders when they get there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I wanted to have him here today just to talk a little bit about confidence and leadership, and just to recap a little bit, we did talk about confidence comes from being competent, from really knowing what you're doing and being competent in your skill set. And that's what brings you confidence in leadership, right? I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's Alicia. I mean, it's perfect. I mean, well phrased. I mean, so when you think of leaders across the board, in any role that I've ever played, and even when I started a company, I really had to, go to the Maxwell training. I had to go to Georgetown University. I had to get with ICF so that what I felt very comfortable and confident in what was going to be expected of me. So I think it's important that first, is you want your organization to take care of you and get you trained up. But I also think for leaders, you have to invest in yourself. You have to take the first step to wherever you want to be at 2 years from now. What are you doing intentionally to invest in yourself?
I totally agree with that. I completely agree with that you cannot be afraid to invest in your own growth. Don't wait for the company to do it, because what happens is you can get promoted, you can get fast-tracked if you show competence, leadership skills in what you're doing, if you take that initiative and invest in yourself to grow yourself as a leader.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I think that's important for everyone. I mean, when you're looking at, from a kid where you see a kid that's picking up a book and reading a book or doing other things around the house and showing that, you will be amazed at how many organizations are watching to see who's going to have the initiative to step out and go a little bit further than what their normal job is. And so that shows where there's individual leadership, then there's corporate America leadership.
Mm-hmm. Yes, initiative is very important, taking the initiative to do things. And it starts from childhood. You can raise leaders in your home. And you just have to teach them that they're leaders and raise them up as leaders and teach them how to tap into those skills, right? Be readers. Readers are leaders.
Yes. Which is important. If you're going to raise leaders, the important thing that I've learned, even for me, I've made some mistakes, is I did not get out of the way soon enough for the people that wanted to come into my position. So if you're a leader, you have to be willing to teach me, educate me, and prepare me, but you also got to be willing to get out of the way.
Step aside and allow them to shine. Very good. So, what are some of the tools and strategies that you can suggest specifically for women in leadership to gain more confidence in their ability to lead?
Yeah, the first thing I suggest to women in leadership, if they're going to be a leader, find a woman that's doing something that you're impressed by in a leadership role.
Okay.
And learn to fly with the eagles. I mean, because at the end of the day, everybody can't be a leader in your organization. They're just not meant to be.
Right.
And I know we have this question, is everybody a leader? I think everybody is a leader in some aspect of their life or society, but not in organizations.
Not in organizations, right.
Yeah, and so when you're looking at an organization, find someone that's doing what it is that you see as valuable for you. The second thing I would tell every person is find a mentor or a coach to help you see what you don't see.
That's so true.
Yeah, and I think we're finally getting to that space where it's uncomfortable, but if you're going to grow, growth is uncomfortable.
Growth is so uncomfortable. It is. It's hard. Listen, and it's hard to take, I don't even want to say constructive criticism, but it's hard to take someone telling you something that you don't want to hear about yourself, that you need to make a shift in. A lot of people can't accept that kind of constructive criticism about themselves.
Yeah. And people use that word, Alicia. It's one of the words that you'll find that I very rarely use. And I got away from it in the military because constructive criticism for me means constructive is to build, criticize is to
tear down, right. That's why I didn't want to use the word. but
I use positive feedback to help people grow, window opportunities for growth. Because there are some people that I've never seen a critic, honestly, to help the world change. Now, they know how to talk about the world, but they've never changed the world.
That is so true. But, okay, so sometimes we resist that, those growth opportunities. And so it is really important to have a coach and a mentor, be open-minded, and have a growth mindset so that when they are giving you feedback on things, that you're willing to accept it and make whatever necessary changes that you need to make in order to grow yourself as a leader. And those are some great tips. Thank you so much. And I also wanted to ask you, because strengths, a lot of people talk about strengths and weaknesses and your values and your beliefs. So what role do you believe your strengths and your values have in leadership?
I will start with the values first, if I could here.
Sure.
Values for most leaders, that's just about everything. Because when you're a leader and you find yourself talking about leadership presence again,
right,
your values are there. They're real. And the struggle sometimes is when you're leading an organization or you're making choices and there are some values that you hold really, really near and dear. If someone bumps up against those, you find yourself feeling very awkward and heated and frustrated. And it's not because they're going against your decision. They're bumping up against your values.
Right.
And so when you start thinking about a leader, what you value most, being real about that, and when you're making leadership decisions, understand that you can't force your values on other people, but being respectful of everyone's values as a leader is super important.
Now, can I ask a question then? When as we're talking about values, if you recognize you're working for a company then, and you're rising up in the ranks, and you find that the values are no longer in alignment with your personal values, how do you address that situation?
And when you're working in an organization, which is unique, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I served 21 years in the military, and there were things that bumped up against my values in the military. That's reality. But when you're working for an organization, then you, as a leader, as you rise, if it's not something that's dealing with integrity for me, and it's just a value thing, then I'm okay with it when I'm having that conversation, because I know I'm representing an organization. It's almost as though we look at, and this may be a hot topic for a later conversation, but you look at the NFL. And the people making decisions from a leadership role, they're role models, and they're making some decisions that are from a leadership role for some people.
Right.
Do I agree or disagree is irrelevant, but what I don't agree with is they're on the clock when they go out for the NFL, and when they go on that field, they're working for someone.
Yes.
And so people are frustrated because they're taking a knee, and I say, hey, look, if you want to take a knee and you want to do, I would love to see them do that on their own time. If you're going to stand for something, stand for it when you're not. Because if you're working for me and you were doing some things when I'm paying you, I'm going to be a little frustrated. It's not going to work out well.
Right. So that's a perfect example of your values bumping up against the company's values, because you're absolutely right. Do it on your own time, and when you're working for me, you represent me and what my brand is, not necessarily what your brand is.
Yes.
especially
and that's not for everybody. I know we'll get some people that will disagree with what we're talking about. But for me personally, if you ask Ron Harvey when I'm talking to an organization, I think when you go into an organization, if you're on their clock and you know what they stand for, you get to make two choices: that you don't be a part of the organization anymore because it's too much of a struggle for you,
right?
Or you, I'm okay with this and I can deal with this. Now, I do have a problem when it comes to integrity, that I will separate from something if it's an integrity violation for me. I can't do that.
Right. Well, that's great. That's a good way to kind of delineate your values and based on your values and the company's values. So what about your strengths? Let's talk about your strengths a second.
And I think for me and for every leader that's on here, I think we have to have a clear identity of three things that we're really, really good at. Mm-hmm. And we want to enhance those and get better. And some people say, well, you always want to get better at the things you're not good. I don't play basketball. I love it, but I'm not a basketball player. The best I would ever be on there, Alicia, is average.
And you're not going to be out there for 6-7 hours trying to get better at it.
No, I don't play golf. I'll go have fun, and it's just good teamwork.
Right.
But I'm not trying to be a professional basketball player. And so I tell people, whatever your gift is, get great at that, hone in on that, and be really excellent at that. So what are your strengths? Because you have those to the table, and you bring other people to the table that do things that you don't do well.
Right. So what are your three top core competencies?
Yes.
To work on those, strengthen those, and hire out the rest.
Yes, delegate and hire out.
Delegate and hire out. Oh, we stepped on some people's corns. So you got to delegate.
People, I mean, it's a control thing. I tell people if you don't delegate, it shows a lack of trust. Mm-hmm. I think it's super important that you are comfortable with delegating. And the higher you go up in an organization, you really don't get to do the things you used to do. You got to trust other people. That's
true. In order to rise, you got to trust others. So I have just 2 minutes left. So is there anything else you wanted to share, Ron, before we wrap up today?
Yeah, the thing that I would probably leave the people all the people that are listening to us is when it shows leadership presence, make sure you find a coach or a mentor. Find someone that will really hold you accountable, and let it be fun. Enjoy what you're doing, and stay within your gift. I mean, leadership is an awesome thing. Everything starts and finishes with leadership, and be intentional about your own growth. So the question I would leave is, what are the things you're doing to grow yourself, or what do you have for 2018 planned to grow yourself? Go to a conference, get with the coach, get with someone that's going to help you grow to be better. You shouldn't be the same this time next year.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to wrap up. Thank you all for joining. Happy Thanksgiving. Mwah, 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 mwah. Everyone have a safe and wonderful week, and I will see you next week for Unleash Your Audacious Confidence. Bye. A wise friend always says to me, we have a finite number of minutes to spend. And just like you can only spend $1 once, you can only spend 1 minute once. It's your choice. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for choosing to spend some of your minutes with me on my show. I wish you love, health, and happiness to live your life with audacious confidence. I love you, and we'll see you next time.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.